This is To The Point, a Rhino experience. Voted one of the top home services marketing and operations podcasts. Cutting through the bullshit and getting to the point.
Hey, what's up, To The Point listeners? It's your boy, Chris Yano, the host of To The Point Home Services Podcast. We have already derailed pre-podcast multiple times. Paul's coughing into microphones, so I'll go ahead and... Paul, what's today gonna be like?
Well, we should just go ahead and call out. Today's a little different, kind of the same, but it's the first time we've ever recorded on a Friday. It's because we have a special guest, Chris's boss.
Oh my gosh. No, that's not true. But we are recording this on a Friday. There's literally only three of us in here. And it's kind of nice, actually. There's not anybody being loud outside. So, but we are going into part 2 of our 4-part series with my friend, Mr. Kenny G.
Oh, yeah.
Smooth jazz. Okay, not that Kenny G. But with Kenny G, my friend, Mr. Ken Goodrich from Gettle.
Gettle, G-O-E-T-T-L, Gettle. It's really hard to spell. Gettle, it's made of metal. Heavy duty, so don't settle. Call Gettle today.
Hey! CEO of Gettle. If you don't know, now you know. Ken, welcome back, brother.
Thanks, man. Hey, so here's what I'm going to do real quick, though. I'm not going to tell the whole story. I'll just tell the last part of the story, and then next, some podcast down the road, I'll tell the first part of the story. How's that?
Let's do it.
All right, so when I went to the auction, that was an asset of the deal, and I said, well, tell me about this guy. And they said, well, he's athletic, and he's this, that, he's 66, and but he just had a pig valve put in his heart. I'm like, stop. You had me at pig valve, right? So we went through this course of the time, and I told you the rest of the story. But my friend the other day said, man, I have to get heart surgery. I have to get a valve put in my heart. Now, back to the other story. The other guy has lasted from 2004 to date, right, with the pig valve, which is not supposed to last that long, I understand. So I tell my buddy, I go, look, whatever you do, get the pig valve.
The pig valve is working really good. I can't wait for our listeners to hear the first part of the story. If that sounds really odd, it's because you missed the whole first half of it. It's too good to not share, so we'll tackle that on part 3.
Good luck editing.
That's where we're starting today. So, listeners, welcome back. We're going to hit on the 7 centers of management attention, part 2, where we're going to focus on money and marketing. And originally what we're going to do, though, is... I want to give a quick shout-out. I had somebody send me something really nice in the mail, and people have sent me some thoughtful things. Anyhow, so... but a guy by the name of Guy Fashano, who's out in... I think he's out in L.A., sent me like this little, almost like a Swiss Army knife, but it was a rhino. I don't know how to explain it, but it was pretty cool. So I want to give a quick shout out to him. I think he works for the company Mailer Systems Inc., direct mail, stuff like that. So it's a quick shout out to them for being kind enough to send me a cool, thoughtful gift. But first things first, because for the sake of time, and I have to cut out on time today, we're going to hit on, again, 2 things, money and marketing. But the first thing, KG, is we're going to start with money. Laid back. Well, we may have to edit that one. Can I say it again? First thing we're going to start with is money. Laid back. In my money, on my mind.
Finish that lyric.
Can't win them all. But let's go ahead and jump right into it, too, because when you say money, I use air quotes, Kenny. When you say money, you mean profit, right?
No, I mean...
So I asked that question so then you could say, okay, I got you. So when you say money, what do you mean, Ken Goodrich?
I mean, all the aspects on the money portion of a business. Remember, we're talking about the 7 centers of management attention. So
right.
Money is one of the attentions of management, which include leadership, money, marketing, lead generation, lead conversion, and client fulfillment.
Right.
So the money aspect. So I wrote in the E-Myth book that I co-authored with Michael Gerber. When I first started business, I had the wrong perception of money. I wanted to be in business to make money and make a lot of money. And I had a vision. I was, mid-20s, and I thought, I'm going to do this so well. My life's going to look like a MTV rap video, right? The pool parties and all this stuff, right? And, through various events, those kind of dreams got trampled. And, I kind of got on the straight and narrow to understand the relationship with money in your business and your life. But really what I'm talking about today is the systems of money inside your business.
Got it. Okay. So we had on a guest, Keith Mercurio. Do you know who Keith Mercurio is?
Yeah, he's a Nexstar trainer guy or something.
He was, I can't remember what he does. He does like elite, executive coaching and things like that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he had said this word egregious on our podcast one time, and I was like, what the hell does that word mean? So he was on again, and I used it because I learned what the word egregious is. So I heard you say one time that the first thing most business owners do is abdicate the books. What the hell does abdicate mean? What is all that? What does that even mean? That's another one of those words where I don't know what the hell it means. So let's start there and then tell me what the hell you're talking about.
Well, it's basically the opposite of management, right? So management is, a set of processes whereby, you lay out the expectations of the employee, what they're supposed to accomplish, their strategic work, their tactical work, how they're going to be measured, their work's going to be performed, who they report to, who reports to them. You lay out their system. Abdication which is what most of us have done, is let's hire somebody to do the books. And they turn their back on the books and somebody's doing the books.
Yep, they got it. Yep.
I've done that so many times. And let me say this. I've made every mistake. Well, hopefully I've made every mistake you can make. And, I've went through this treadmill when I first got started of hiring bookkeepers and never getting the books right and never knowing where we're at and always having challenges. And it wasn't until I read a book by Tom Monahan, the founder of Domino's Pizza, and he said he never made any money until he hired 3 times more accountants than he thought he needed. And what he was talking about is really having a high fidelity on his numbers and understanding where they're at every single day. Your financials, you can't run a business by looking at your financials, a 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after the following month. You need information daily to steer the ship. What I tell my people is if we can't get the financials out, and with our other metrics, if we can't get them out within 5 business days of our last month, we're just operating on, we're archaeologists. We're just, looking at ancient history. Doesn't matter. So it's really about the systems of money, and is what we're talking about today. And abdication is what we typically do. We just hire somebody and we put them in place, say, go do the books, right? One of the most important aspects of business.
Right.
And so it's the accounting / money processes in business make up a system. And you have to go, before you start business, really set up your system on how all these pieces and parts are going to flow. And so you can have accurate numbers to run by, you pay your taxes, you pay your people, and ultimately have some money when it's all said and done.
Can you break down the systems? What do you mean by systems, and what elements create the system?
So, there's all the fundamental stuff, accounts receivable. How do you take in the cash receipts? How do you collect the money when it's not paid on delivery? How do you purchase things? How do you pay your bills? How do you manage your payables? When do you pay your payables? How about your payroll? How does that computed? The payroll taxes, when are they paid? What is the weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual obligations of the various tax filings and other pieces and parts that you have to perform to legally run a business. And so, I think most of us, when we get our business going, it's kind of like we let Judy handle it. And sometimes Judy comes through, sometimes Judy doesn't come through. Mm-hmm. In my particular case, I had a challenge when I first got in business whereby my Judy, and it could be Frank, Judy or Frank, but,
sure.
But
or Brenda. It's either a Judy Brink.
My Judy, she didn't pay the payroll taxes, so I didn't know. And, that was the kind of things that I'm trying to make sure that everybody understands they got to avoid. It's the tortoise and the hare. Do we build the business shooting from the hip and figuring out as we go, or do we stand back and methodically take a look at the 7 centers of management attention and make sure you create fundamental systems to start the business with, and then you're keenly aware of the fact that these systems have to evolve and grow. And so you, as the leader of the organization, you need to continue to look at how the business is operating and where do I need to augment my systems inside the business to keep up with the growth and where I want to head with it. Does that make sense?
So it does. And do you find that at some revenue point, it becomes much more difficult and disruptive to implement new systems? Or what are your thoughts there for the listeners who are listening to this going, man, Judy does everything. I have no idea what she does. I just know she does it. Like, where do you start?
Well, we have this phrase around our place: it starts bad, ends bad, right? So, you got to do everything you can to start right. When one of the missions that I personally have on these podcasts and such, and talking about the Michael Gerber, the E-Myth stuff, is trying to steer people away from the hole that I dug myself when I started a business that probably cost me, 10 years of my life. And you don't have to start that way. So where do you start?
And your health.
Yeah. Where do you start? There's many, many systems that you can purchase off the shelf, really, for accounting, right? Even as dark ages as they send you the file folders. Here's the files that you have to keep the paper in, and here they're already labeled for you, and here's where they go, and here's a schedule of when the pieces of paper go in those files. Your 941 files, all the tax related stuff, your payroll files. So I would urge anyone starting in business, or even in a business that's not a mature business, to go locate these kind of systems that you can buy them everywhere and just stick with it and implement it. Here's what we file. Here's when we fill this report out. What day of the month. Here's when we do this. Here's how we do that. And you bring it together to systemize your money side of your business.
Well, and you can use if it sounds overwhelming, I understand, depending on where you're at in your business, but you can hire like a part-time CFO to help guide your Judy or Frank or Bill or whoever it is, at least so you've got somebody to kind of, or people even people in the industry who are willing to help with these things, who struggle with the same thing. But there are solutions that you can reach out to help you get your books aligned. Like we used a part-time CFO for a long time.
You can, but let me tell you how I would look at it. You can bring these professionals in, but you still have to have a systems mindset, right? You have to understand, as the leader of the organization, what are the key elements of my money systems, and I'm going to make sure that this person is installing them, and that and I'm having some sort of metrics or high level visibility that they're really happening on time. It's a critical part of the business, right? And so you don't have to know it. You don't have to do it. You just have to make sure that you're laying your people out, your consultants or your staff people, like, we're going to systemize this. It's not going to be that you didn't get to the payables yesterday, so now you got to catch up today, so you can't do payroll on time and things like that. let's systemize it so we know that all these things are all the I's are getting dotted and the T's are getting crossed, and all the money possible that's being created by the operations is getting eventually into the bank.
Is it fair to say that the pig valve is the money in the business?
Yeah. Got to have a pig valve. Whatever
That
you
came
do,
full circle.
get the pig valve.
I'm so glad
You
that
get the
worked
pig
out.
valve.
So glad that worked out.
Was hanging out there. Ken, you talked a little bit earlier about getting behind and kind of coming out of a ditch. Tell me about the period of time, what 10 years or whatever you were behind. What did it look like? What did it feel like? And how did you get out of it?
Well, you get going in business and you start cash flowing a little bit, and you start kind of feeling like, king of the world. And, like some of the stuff that I see on, some of the social media groups, the guys get they're not Ferraris. What are those other cars called? Lamborghinis. Yeah. They get the Lambos and they get this and that. And that's okay. But, and I did that shit. I mean, but I clearly remember the day that I had to take my brand new 635 BMW that I bought, and I was, big dealing around town when I was 28, and I had to drive it to the Ford dealership and trade it for a Ford F-150 with an AM radio and, no carpet rubber mats, right? As a work truck, because I had to go back to work because I dug myself a big enough hole. I had to go back to work, right? So, and the car was so upside down, they had to add $6,000 on top of the cost of the truck because I was so upside down on the other one. I mean, that's how it got.
Humbling moment.
Yeah. And I at that point, I kind of realized, like, money's a tool. Money is a tool for your business and a tool for your life, and it's tools to help you achieve your primary aim in life. And the money as a tool, you need to look at the money and your working capital inside your business as no different than, I got this delivery truck and I need this delivery truck to operate my business. I have this amount of cash, which, takes care of us when our collections are slow, when business is slow, when I need to invest in the business, this and that. It's not your BMW money, right? Now, when you get to a certain point, when you've created a cash flow machine, when you've created a goose that lays golden eggs, then you can start to take some of the fruits of your labor. But you got to put the money systems in place, understand what your working capital needs are, and keep that inside the business as an asset, no different than any of the hard assets you have: vehicles, buildings, vacuum pumps, shears and brakes, whatever.
Yep.
It's just a piece of the business. It's not something that you can go intermingle with the rest of your life.
Well, I see obviously, I've got a lot of friends in the industry. I see a lot of guys that have splurged on, cars and just different things like that too. And I look at it perception is reality, right? Like there's a lot of truth in what is perceived. But I also can see where somebody who kind of like you said, man, I've made it, or in my mind, I've made it. I've got good money. I'm going to go buy this car. And it's flashy, it's fancy, I want to show it off, but it's also an asset. Like, you can resell that car and you can sit on it and have fun with it for a while and then potentially take it and sell it. So, and especially like some of the exotic cars, because they'll actually, if you get them at the right price, they'll gain in value. So, but it's still like, because I've considered it. I mean, I've considered doing something like that if you can afford it, to buy one, have fun in it for a little bit, and then take it and flip it.
I'm not saying that you can't have whatever you want. I'm just saying that understand that your business is a machine.
Don't do it too soon.
Yeah, your business is a machine. It's kind of a machine slash living organism, and you got to make sure that it has, either the pieces and parts or the nutrients, whatever you want to call it, inside the business to make it throw off the cash. It's not a place where you're generating cash and you just grab it, pull it out, and and strangle the goose that lays the golden eggs. You follow me?
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say, it's a tendency for us small business guys. I'm going to say small business people, right? Because, it's a struggle. It's hard. It's hard to build a business. And you just got to have so much intestinal fortitude to get through it. And, for me personally, and I believe it's probably a common condition for a lot of other guys, is that, you get beat up and you feel like you got to get a reward. Like, I got to get something out of this. Like, my customers beat me up. My employees beat me up. The job beats me up. I don't have control of it. I got to get something to make me feel some self-worth. And so the first thing I do is go buy a King Ranch pickup for $100,000,
Yep.
And in that particular instance, I would just urge everybody, because I've done it. And, it's not a great business move. And it's you're nursing something else that is not good for the business, right?
Ken, you talked about money being a tool to help you achieve the primary aim of your life. Remind our listeners, what's the primary aim of your life, and how has your relationship with money helped you move toward that?
So, this is a Michael Gerber thing, E-Myth thing. And so, so much like vision, mission, values,
Primary.
He calls it the primary aim in life. So what he's urging people to do when they create a business, to understand that the business is not you and the business is not your life. Your business is something, it's a machine that you're building that creates capital, profits and capital to fund the primary aim of your life, right? And the primary aim of your life may be, I want to be a missionary and, and world famine, right? So the business, that's the purpose of the business, to fuel that, the primary aim of your life. Sometimes I feel like I get caught in my business and it becomes all I am. And I have to remind myself, it's not all I am,
I think that's a common problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I want to,
and let me say, that thwarts the success of the enterprise, because the your ego's too wrapped up in it.
So I want to ask, you made me think about something. I made a post on social media last night, and it's because that's where my head was at. So it's kind of along these lines of, I've had this business for 14 years, and it was like, I was at home. My wife's gone, this weekend with a few of our employees are in Cabo, and I go home and I have to work. I guess I don't have to, but I want to. Like, I have things I need to get done, and I've only got so many hours in the day. And if I mismanage my day and my time, that means I have to put on work later on in the afternoon or in the evenings. So, it is what it is at this point in time. So we have a leadership meeting this morning, and I wasn't prepared for it. So part of being the business owner is I have a responsibility to be prepared for that meeting, because I'm a leader in this business. And just because a business might look like it's successful on the outside, or people are taking vacations and stuff like that, think about this. I went on a lot of vacations in summertime. I try to cram them all in before my kids go back to school. I work every day on vacation, whether I want, I don't have the option to. And I don't know if that means I'm not managing my business well or what, but I feel like that's still pretty common. Like, just because I go on a vacation, you get to go, if it's an employee, you get to go and enjoy your vacation. You don't have to think about work. I don't. It's in the mornings and the evenings at bare minimum for me. Did you experience the same things where it's like, because you're cranking away trying to grow this thing, and it's like, for no fault of your own, you're just like dialed in, you're trying to build the business you're going, you can't enjoy the vacation. Maybe it sometimes is a negative effect on your family, it's a negative effect on your health, but finding your purpose, I think, sometimes is difficult to get to, because you're so wrapped up in like the monotonous building the business, focusing on all the things. Here's an opportunity, sales, shiny thing. Oh, I should do this, I should do that. Like, do you think that's a pretty common issue, right?
I do, and that's precisely what I'm trying to wake everybody up. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. I hate to say this, but I have been working on this business for 50 years. I've been in the HVAC business since I was 10.
Right.
50 years I've been at it. Well, 49 years, right? And I got everything a man would ever want. Anything. Just think about what you want. I got it. And I'm here to tell you, it ain't worth it. It's not worth sacrificing your vacations and your family time. It's not.
And the memories and the experiences.
Yeah,
and things.
and as I look back on it, I say, had I known the things that I'm trying to teach right now about setting up, starting right, what I say earlier, starts bad, ends bad, start it right so you don't have these challenges. You start right so the systems are in place and you can stand back and say, okay, I created this money-making machine so I can go on vacation and give full time and attention to my family and my wife and, build upon those important things in life, not, the 5-star resort that I put them in and I hid in the office in the suite doing work.
Right.
You follow me?
Yeah. Yeah. But I also wonder, is there a point in time when that actually can happen? Is there some phase the reason I ask that question is I don't want to take these calls but sometimes I feel like in order for me to keep moving whatever the meeting is forward, I can't afford to miss the call because getting time is already difficult enough, or getting on a schedule is difficult enough. And everything moves kind of slow in particular levels. I'm talking if I have a manufacturer partnership, if I'm trying to do an acquisition, I don't want to wait to get this meeting. I want to wait until a week later. So I don't know if there's ever a time where I felt like I can just legit go on a vacation and be and do nothing. It's hard for me. I went to Peru. I think I went to Peru and I was off the grid for 4 days, with zero communication, which by the way was amazing because once I knew there was nothing I could do, I was 100% bought into, we can't communicate with anybody anyway, so we're doing it. And it was amazing. And I came back and it was amazing for a while, and then I fell right back into the same pattern of working on vacation.
Yeah. I went to the Super Bowl recently and got pickpocketed. They took my phone. And so I was there for, 3 or 4 days with no phone. And the first day I was going crazy.
Sure.
And the next 3, I was the most comfortable that I'd been in years. So I get you.
Now I know why you didn't respond to my text.
So to answer your question, obviously to get things going and building, you're going to put a little more time and energy in it. But I think really it's about what are you focusing on? Your focus needs to be on how do I build systems and people so that those things can get done without me. Right. So you don't have to rush around and make. So your focus is I'm building a machine to run without me.
Right.
So the sooner if you start from day one clearly understanding that and your decisions are based on that, sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you have to put your name on that spot in the org chart.
Yeah.
But full well you have a goal, say that position is going to be filled with somebody else with using this system by this date.
Got it.
Follow me?
Yeah. Well, I will say I was able to leave for 2 weeks and this business grew.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
I mean, with that for 2 weeks, so it's pretty. That was
leave for 4.
Try that next time.
Don't challenge him.
It actually gives me anxiety just to think about leaving for 4 weeks.
I got to tell you now,
I'm still working on myself.
It's been a long journey to get here, but the business that we're running today, I'm running with a couple of meetings a week, some board meetings, some high level stuff. And then, I'll key in some innovation when I come up with it, and that's it. And so, the systems and the management team and such work.
Right.
Yeah. Ken, before we transition to talk about marketing, which is another center of management influence, what's the hardest lesson you've learned about money along the way?
Well, the hardest lesson is kind of everything we've been talking about is that money is a piece of the business. It's a necessary part of the business that, let me go back and say this. I had this mentor when I was first started business, and, he was in my life for, 7-8 years. He was a Greek immigrant, could barely speak English, couldn't read or write, and assemble the largest cap company in Las Vegas. Okay? So, very wise guy. But he said, I was going to mimic him. I'm not going to mimic him. But he said,
No, please do. Please do.
you have to.
Wow. Go for it. You're too far in now. Can't be half pregnant.
I want you to put $1 million away. You put your head down and you do not look up until you have $1 million, taxes paid, put away in your business. That way, when the winds come, it doesn't blow the trees over. Your tree may flex this way, that way, but you're solid in the ground. Okay?
That was good.
I mean, yeah, and so I kind of followed that advice. But yeah, I struggled for a long time till I really started doing that. And then once I got my working capital base, then I moved a lot faster and more eloquently.
It gave you the opportunity to make decisions faster, knowing you had that like as a reserve, right?
But the key part I'm trying to get across here is money is a system in your business. The financial side of your business is a set of systems or processes that create a system. And you, as the leader of the organization, need to make sure you understand, or the enterprise understands, these are the processes in managing our money. And these are the metrics that we run those processes by. And you have visibility to make sure that that's happening. You don't have to know how to compute the 941 tax and this and that. You just have to know these are the fundamentals of money inside the business, and I know I can have visibility that they are happening on time, the right way, every day.
Got it. A question: Did you do any, or did you offer any sort of ongoing training for your controllers or financial team or anything like that? Because I feel like stuff changes so much. Like, do they just have to educate themselves? There's got to be some sort of ongoing training to stay on top of things, right? Or to even be better at managing the money.
Yes, I mean we try to connect. We try to connect in every piece of our business some sort of group that they can connect with to stay up to date, get new knowledge. But I'll say I know that four of our people now, we have funded them to get associate's degrees in accounting. These are people that may started as CSRs and got into some sort of administrative functions and stuff, and then we wanted them to get more into the general ledger and such, and so and that's paid off for us as well too.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what so that's part of our actual. That's a requirement here is you have to do education, something educational every month, and you got to report it and talk about what was it. But then we also offer education budgets, the same thing, so that way they're getting smarter and better on behalf of our customers and themselves. Yeah, every month they're doing something.
And by the
different.
way, you know what that's called? A system.
Perfect. It works out good.
There you go.
I like that one.
Way to tie that up.
Paul, were you going to say something else?
No, I'm excited to get into the marketing stuff.
Yeah, me too. So, obviously, again, money is the pig valve in the heart too. It's the necessity of the business, and we do get into business to make money.
Got to have a pig valve.
Got to have a pig valve. But you obviously you have to have it. Like you go into business to make money. Creating wealth is 100% okay. You're taking all the risk. You're doing all these things, but you got to have systems in place to make sure you're doing it financially. You're being responsible on behalf of not only you, but your employees, your staff, everything. Like it's your responsibility to make sure that your money is on point.
By the way, just let me throw this at you. You as the leader, CEO, president, whatever you want to call yourself in the business, have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the money systems are in place and working perfectly inside your business on the on behalf of the shareholders, which may happen to be you.
Yep.
So take care of yourself.
Makes sense. Well, now let's talk about ways to generate that money. So in the 7 centers of management attention, after money is marketing. And so I want to touch on this. Obviously, I'm extremely passionate about it. I have my views on it. But I also believe it can mean, people don't really understand. I still think people don't really understand the difference between what marketing and sales and like some of these things. So there's still some confusion on what is marketing. So the first question I want to ask you, KG, is what is marketing to you?
So when I first started business, I thought marketing was, buying an ad in the newspaper or sending out a piece of direct mail, right? And then as I learned, I understood that the whole concept of marketing is your brand. Who are you? What are you about? What's your colors? Why do you have those colors? What's your unique selling proposition? What are you about? What do you stand for? All that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, fundamental system of the business. Who are we? And you start right there. Like I said in the past, I kind of thought, well, let's do some marketing. Marketing is the overall arching. Who are we? I work with Roy Williams, Wizard of Ads, and he's kind of tied it up for me in my head in that it's your story, and so in everything you do, in your vehicles, in your uniforms, in your advertising, in your facilities, in how you interact with your customers, you got to hold up the story, right? You got to tell the story. You got to hold up the story. You got to be who you say you are.
You got to have a red screw.
Yep. So the marketing is really, thinking about your brand. Now, let me throw this at you. I would say that that's the funnest, that's the most fun piece. That and lead gen are the two funnest pieces of business, right? Because you get creative, and this is my stuff, and you feel good about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's the most important. So I would say that did I just contradict myself?
A little
No.
bit. No, but I see why you're saying that. But no, you're going down the right path, so keep going.
Okay. So I want you to think about your brand and start formulating your brand and your story from the very beginning. Now, I see a lot of guys, they get focused on that only and not working on their fundamental other systems, because it's really easy to put on, the beautiful wrap and the beautiful uniforms and the logo and rah, 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 but have no substance. What do they say? A big hat, no cattle, right? A lot of that going on. So I would urge you to say, get the fundamental business stuff up first. Make sure that's happening before you start pounding your chest and, spending all the money on the wraps and signs and all the stuff, right? So you can actually be who you say you are. You can operate that way.
So I want to, I'm actually going to skip down on some of the questions I had on here because this kind of ties in with it. Obviously, I'm super active in a lot of the Facebook groups too. I'm in branding. You have a phenomenal, memorable brand. And Gary Vee said, the best sales strategy is branding, and it become like a controversial question. So, and then Dan Antonelli, and it kind of tagged me in this post and said, like, what's your thoughts? Because there were some varying thoughts on branding is like the best sales strategy. I heard it's not. It's just to me, I believe that marketing and branding, let's say specifically, I think it matters on how long you've had that brand. You have to create it. You have to do it. It's got to be your story to tell. And that is exciting. But at first, if nobody knows who the hell it is or can't find you, what good is the brand other than like it made you feel good as a business owner? But if the consumer who's looking for you, the brand doesn't mean shit. Like they got to get to you first for the brand to even matter.
Exactly. You got to create the brand before you start advertising, so you have something to show.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Because you're telling a story and you're trying to listen. People make decisions based off of feelings and emotion, right? Like I'm connected to something. Oh, the story is great. Let me keep. Or the consistency of it, right? Because there's a comfort in seeing it over and over and over and over again if they don't know who it is. So I believe that when Gary Vee says the best sales strategy is branding, I would only agree if that's the long-term strategy.
I agree. I agree. And let me throw this at you to this point. I agree with him 100%. And here we're taking it to this extent now, because here's what I've learned. You got the right brand and you're able to tell your story in a big way. And your customers and your message resonates with your customers. Your closing rates double, triple. Your average tickets go way up. I mean, everything works better. Your click-through rates. Do you even use click-through rates anymore?
Absolutely.
But, all that stuff, it's significant. Like, for instance, when I first bought Gettle, we were running a 2% click-through rate, and I didn't even know what that was. I'm like, 2%, that doesn't sound good. But some guy said, well, we're doing 6. Well, now we're over 60. Right? We started at 2, we're over 60 because we invest in the brand. And here's how I'm thinking about it today for even the bigger shops. I'm just looking at like, okay, how do we go into a market, and how do we bang a big drum every single day and let people know who we are and what we're about? Not try to sell them anything, not R22 or R22 phase out or, summer closeout special. We don't do any of that. It's this is what we're about. Okay. Yeah. And so now I'm looking at that piece of the business as a fixed cost. So I'm going to go, how do I reach 50% of this population this many times a month, day, year, whatever? And that's a fixed cost of the business. So no different than rent or anything else. It's a fixed cost. I say that's a baseline cost of the business that has to be there. And then when I come to you and say, okay, we need leads, then that's a direct cost. I mean, it's still advertising, but it's still, it's variable.
Yeah.
When I need it, I need it. When I don't. But the branding piece of it is static, 12 months a year.
The brand is the closer. I mean, so and I will say, Paul knows this, every single customer that we have at Rhino Strategic Solutions that has a phenomenal brand, like a great brand equity, conversion rates and close ratios are significantly higher. Like it's
not even comparable.
Not even in the same ballpark. So it's what's the gap in the beginning when I'm rebranding? Like, how do I do it? Do I not do it? The answer is yeah, absolutely have to create that brand and build off of it. You just got to bite the bullet. It's kind of like search engine optimization. Like there's no quick fix for it, but you got to do it at some point in time. And if you do a great job of it, it'll impact your cost per click and things like that. But you got to have it. But branding is so important. So when I look at marketing, I don't just look at it as like this, I have to turn on, go buy Home Advisor. I got to do internet marketing. No, you have got, it's a dual role. Like you got to have a good brand, a good story. Your purpose is probably the keyword that you said. Like how are you getting that out there in that brand messaging? And then when you have that in place and it's genuine and it's got your core values and all the shit that you need to put into that, like the story about your business, then you can start to drive leads to it. And your conversion rates go up because your story's genuine, your messaging is genuine. It's not so much about, I think something you had put in the book was quality over quantity. It's just a better all around scenario. And you know what? Most don't do it. Most still don't do it. You said it so many times. I've heard it so many times, and most still won't do it. They'll just roll with their logo.
Yeah, and it's the difference maker. I'm using like who was that president called a difference maker? Bush. He called it a difference maker. It was anyway. It's the difference maker between a mom and pop and an enterprise that you can build on.
Yep.
It's so interesting to me how since we really got into the branding strategies over the years, that how when I talk to a customer, they know me. We're telling stories about the brand and me and the business, and it's like we're old friends. They might be upset about something, but it's so much easier to get that resolved. Had a customer just call me, just sent me a message today. They find me on social media from time to time, and I call them back every time, and they just, I can't believe you called me back. I can't believe a CEO would call me back. But now, because I'm on the ads, I got to call them back.
You said, I'm here for a rejuvenation.
And by the way, let me throw this at you. Last thing, that I'm going to say not a curse word, but
Oh, please don't curse on here.
okay. So, but kind of. All right. So I just want you to give you a perspective on how I looked at it. So I buy Gettle. Gettle's ready to shut down, ready to go bankrupt when I buy it, and I got to fix the brand. It had some challenges, and so I go to Roy Williams, and we start working on the project, and he says, "Look, I don't deal with any limp dicks. So either you're going to be number 1 or 2 in your marketplace, or I don't deal with you." So I go, "Okay, how much does number 1 cost?" And he goes, $1 million in Rito, yep. Right? And so we went through that process, and it actually cost $760,000 to get a meaningful reach in radio in Phoenix, Arizona. So we
per month.
$760 a year
for the year.
For a year.
Oh, okay.
To get a meaningful presence, or what he calls bark like a big dog, it costs $760,000, right? So that was 5-6 years ago. We've just spent, I didn't even second guess it. I just said, all right. And we've been spending $760 every single year on that little piece of the business, which has really, really catapulted this brand.
You have one of the most iconic billboards, you have the most iconic billboard in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah,
I see it all the time.
Yeah,
and then when everybody comes in and flies in from out of town, they see it. They say the same thing. I was seeing posting on the page like, "Here you go." I'm sure people send you that kind of stuff all the time.
So same like your money. You have to. The money is a critical part of your business. It's not there to buy Lamborghinis with yet, right?
Right.
You will one day, but not today. And the brand spend is the same thing. It's a fundamental part of the business. You have to do it. You have to build your business model around having this much cash to operate and this spend to keep your brand up.
Yeah, Paul, I don't want to make sure I keep cutting because I'm not looking at you. I don't know if you have a question.
No, that's okay. I want to talk kind of about the functional areas of marketing. Like, where do you get these ideas from, and how do you stay so progressive?
Well, I hired the greatest ad writer in the world, so number 1.
Step 1.
And that costs. It's an adult spend. How's that?
Yeah.
It's an adult spend.
So that, and then again, I got a lot of experiences in this business. I mean, from everything from every repair that could ever be done on an air conditioning refrigeration system to every piece and part of the business, right? I've just been in it. So I tell him stories. I will say, and this is what makes us authentic, right? I'll be sitting around at night and I'll think, I remember when my dad yelled at me because I didn't put the screw in the thing. So I'll email him that, and he'll come up with the ad about the red screws.
Wow.
Got it. So same kind of messages I get, text messages I get at night.
Exactly. So I'll send them, and I'm not trying to write the ad for them, and I'm not trying to do your job.
You're getting it out of
I'm
your
just
head,
like, hey, here's something that maybe you could use. And so in this particular case, I'll send him stuff. Sometimes he doesn't respond. Sometimes he'll say on it when he likes it and he thinks it's good ad fodder.
Yeah. Got it. So, hey, producer Ryan, does that sound familiar on getting late night messages on? Yeah. So I got to get it out of my head and to him. So in preparation for like this podcast, during the podcast.
You don't mind. Put me on like do not disturb at night. And then when you wake up in the morning, you get fresh ideas.
That's right.
Sometimes I wake up and I see your messages at like 11 or something like that at night. Like I knew where your head was at.
There'll be some 2 a.m.s.
Oh, those are the different kinds of messages. Okay, so a couple things. I'm a big believer in a fixed cost for branding because you can't measure in way of cost per lead from that perspective.
And I look at it both ways. I take it out of the cost per lead formula, but I'll look at it both ways. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you recommend your clients to do the same, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. Because you still have to run a branded campaign. You have to protect your own brand too. But I just don't factor it into the actual cost per lead because I can't take credit for that branded campaign. I only take credit for the direct leads, like the pay-per-clicks, the SEO, the social media, that I can directly say, this person came in through this call tracking number that was a AC repair lead or a drain cleaning lead or whatever. So, but I can't, you can track branded leads separately.
In the early 2000s, say 2000, 2010, we were big in direct mail. So direct mail is what we did. We were pumping out hundreds of thousands of pieces every year, right? And maybe million, and we had all the metrics. We had a team. They counted everything. And, I knew cost per lead, cost per sale, everything. And now when I look at the two with the branded campaign and a lead gen campaign on top of it, the two are less money per lead or per sale than it was when I was just doing direct marketing only.
For sure. Well, yeah. So, but that is the benefit of the long-term branding, right? Because it's helping increase your conversion rates and your close ratios and all this other shit. So it should drop your cost per lead. And that gives you the luxury of being able to, in our world, what's made us, I think, such a successful digital marketing company for the trades is our ability to move levers when you need them to. I need more service. I need more install. I need more drain cleaning. And we can move those levers. But it gives me better projected outcome if you have better brand equity.
So, so I have a private equity sponsor on Gettle, and they're a lot of young finance guys, numbers guys, and they're all trying to find the secret formula of business and and improve the operations and such. So they're always jumping up and down on me on, that like there was a conversation recently. We should drop the radio spend in the winter because we don't have as much business, and then we should ramp it back up in the summer, right? And they just don't understand. The branding is a 360, depending on the year, 5 days proposition, right? You got to be branding 365 days a year, and then your lead gen activity, that's to maximize the performance of your lead gen activity. Am I
100% clear? So because we in our markets out here in Phoenix and Vegas, really you don't want to back off of it because the pool of lead volume is smaller. So if you've got better brand equity and you can keep pumping money into it, you can actually sustain the growth from summer. So you're not trailing off as much, but you still have to continue to brand year round. I believe that, a lot of people will reach out to me because in summertime, everybody naturally picks up. I believe if you have the right staff, number one, like if you have enough staff and you can keep going with marketing, you can take bigger chunks of market share in summertime when everybody else is pulling back on budgets and doing the same shit you just asked me to do. Not you specifically, but you can keep doing it. But branding has to stay consistent.
It does. And when I'm debating with these finance guys, I go back to this. Last year, we spent about $15 million on total marketing advertising, right? And we only spent in digital. We only spent in SEM.
Yep.
Is that what you call it?
Yep.
It's SEM.
Yeah. AdWords.
AdWords.
Pay-per-click, whatever you want to call it.
Pay-per-click. We only spent $1 million out of the $15 million. We only spent $1 million, and the majority of that was to buy our own key name, or our own name, right? Which I don't know if there's best strategy or not, but that's what we did. But we still grew 56% using our brand campaign. Now, I'm not necessarily proud of that because I understand the long-term repercussions of that, and now it's why we've partnered with Rhino to really get our lead gen side fortified, and then at the same time, our Gettle University is really coming up to speed, so I can put out enough people
right,
to run the calls that you're going to get us.
Yep.
But my point being is, digital ain't the only way.
Yep. Yeah, there's
like when I say ain't makes me sound.
Nope, sounds good.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
You
Paul.
mean it. Branding, Ken, it reminds me like going for a walk every day, right?
Yep.
Even when you feel like you don't need to, which is another podcast.
By the way, hang on a second. Somebody reached out to me. Oh shit, I can't remember who it was, and told me that Oh, you know who it was? Tarpey, I forget, Scott, who's in Southern California, just went in like to the hospital and had like the Widowmaker they called it or whatever. But had he not been walking because of this thing, they said that he might not even pulled through it. But because he had been walking, getting himself in shape a little bit, something along those lines where he directly connected that to the walking group.
Oh,
is that fucking cool?
Yeah, I saw that. That's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking to Dave Strider, who's executive at Goodman yesterday. He says he's lost 77 pounds walking.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah, Widowmaker suffered a non-stem. Oh my God, his EKG is normal. Yeah, if he's like, dude, if I wouldn't have started walking in that group, I'd be gone. That's pretty badass. That's a purpose. That's a purpose.
Ramp
Hey,
that
listen,
up.
if that's all we accomplished, we did a good thing, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Scott.
Absolutely. All right. So Ken, for the listeners who are just starting, newer to business, or just don't have the funding that you had when you had that conversation with the Wizard of Ads, like where do they start? Like what recommendations would you have for them?
Well, first, go get the funding. I mean, when I say that, I'm not saying it in jest. I mean, when I started my business, I knew that smart people go get capital, and then they write a business plan. They determine how much capital they need and what they're going to accomplish. They go get the capital, and then they go put it in the business, and then they run the business and create systems. And that's how it's supposed to be done. But what do? We all go, let's go buy a van and get it really pretty and litter it up and go out, start fixing air conditioners and sell stuff, right? And build a business. It's just, it's going about it the hard way. And then I don't even know what question you asked me. I got too far out. What was the question?
I mean, you kind of answered it. It's where do you start with limited funds as it relates to marketing?
And sometimes that's not possible, but I can't stress enough, kind of back to the money thing. To run a successful operation, you got to, one of the key elements is money. It's the working capital of the business. You got to have it. And, working capital can come in different ways, lines of credit. It can come with extended terms with vendors, this and that, but you have to have that flexibility because it's not a consistent thing. And so I would spend the time making sure you got the plan, understand how much money that you really need to fund the plan, and go figure out how you're going to get that. Otherwise, it's just a really, really difficult, long, hard road. I mean, there's a lot of guys, I'm sure, that we all know each other in this business, and a lot of guys, listen, anybody has created a meaningful operation on this business, probably every other business, but I'm going to stick to this one, has a lot of scars on their back. And they don't need to, because we just all start. We didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't start out right. So please start out right.
So go ahead, Paul.
We all know and admire your marketing, but in the industry, whose marketing do you admire the most? Who's doing it just as well as you are?
Well, there's a lot of guys that I like. I really like Radiant in Austin. I like their social media stuff. I don't know if that gets them any business, but it's cute and I like it. And I kind of wish that mine was cool like that. So I like that. I like what Leland does in Service Champions. It's a little different than what I'm doing, but he certainly has a brand and the way he's established himself. It's top notch, top end. I like how he did that. Morris Jenkins out, but he's a Roy Williams client. But nobody does it as well as he does.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, on and on and on. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But it's very clear. The operations who make a scaled, and when I'm talking scaled, I'm saying, 50 million and above, have a real solid brand and a brand strategy.
Bingo.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So you have to, one way or another, like you had said, you need to leverage your vendor partnerships too to try and get some like a 60, 90, like a somewhere they can carry that debt for you to at least so you can maintain some sort of cash flow, but you have to have your money systems in place to know what you really need to carry. Like, so that's obviously number one, but even like you have to have that in place even before marketing. Like otherwise, how are you going to measure? Like what gets measured
Gets done.
But so the next one that we're doing on part 3 is on lead gen and lead conversion. So we're gonna hit those two. So that'll be a good one. And then the very last one, part 4, will be on client fulfillment, which is what you're in the game of doing is client fulfillment. So that'll be an exciting one as well. But I wanted to say this real quick before we end too, because I think we're just over an hour into this particular podcast. But something I thought was interesting is I had a lady reach out to me who's out in New York City, who has recently become a big King Goodrich fan. Her name is Robin Murphy, so shout out to Robin.
Hey, Robin, I sent you a book signed just yesterday.
Robin Murphy?
It's in the mail, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
Nice.
cool.
She sent me an email, said she enjoyed the stuff.
Yeah,
So I sent her a book.
good for you. That's fantastic. So she's been like you can see that I'm scrolling through a bunch of messages on her, really trying to persuade me to go outside of my niche of HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and now roofing. And she is in home cleaning, like a super successful home cleaning business, but she's implementing best practices from you and listening to you on Tommy's podcast. And like, so now she's going, but anyway, I thought that was cool that's kind of impact that's having, but people are following these same 7 centers of management attention, and I'll be damned if they don't work. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Remember,
crazy.
there's nothing magical here other than this is a system to look at how to put this business together, these businesses together, and that's what I'm trying to teach. And, by the way, to that point, guy reached out to me from Finland. I talked to a guy a couple days ago from Finland, and he read the book, and he's trying to apply the book in Finland, and so he's coming out. He's coming out in the next 60 days and visiting us and wants to talk about HVAC in Finland.
That's pretty cool, man.
Not that I want to be there, but just to help him with his business.
Well, the impact is obviously big. I appreciate you coming on and sharing this type of stuff. I love going down this path because I feel like you can't say it enough. You keep going over, and it's not that everybody has to follow your system. It's just they need to follow a system or an system that works for them and their business that can be measured to help scale the business. And then ultimately, I think that the key thing you hit on is you said purpose. We brought up purpose a lot of times is you said, hey, man, I had all this cool shit in the beginning. I did all these things. I had a BMW. I had to go take it back, get a car, like a truck. Find out what your purpose is. If your purpose is you want to make money and live comfortably, great. If you want to be the biggest company in your area, whatever it is, find out your purpose. But then make sure you make time for the bigger purpose, and that is number 1, your health, and number 2, your family. Like you need to make sure that you're one healthy enough to be there for your family, but make time for those things. I still struggle with it. I don't got it right, but but I know that's what I need to do. But my purpose is to grow the most reputable digital marketing company for home services in all English speaking countries. That is my big vision for this company. That's what I'm going to do. I just have to make sure that I am also super intentional about my purpose of I love to give back. I love to give back to the employees. I love to give back to my customers, but I also want to make sure I'm giving back more to my family and myself.
I agree. And, your purpose changes over time.
Yeah, it has.
Now that I got a little further down the road, your purpose does change. So, that your values change and what you're more interested in changes. So just be prepared for that. And that's why Gerber even talks about the fact that your primary aim does not have to be, as it relates to your business, does not have to be for the totality of your life. It's, okay, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to accomplish these things, going to create this much cash flow and this much profits and this much equity value for the future in this amount of time. And then after that, then I will go do my missionary work or my MTV video going, whatever. But, you got to stand back and think about it like this. And that will give you the greatest outcome.
Bingo. Wrapped it up in a neat little bow.
Perfect. Thank you, Ken.
Don't say anything, Paul, and ruin it, okay? That's a great way to exit.
Plus, you have to pick up your daughter.
That's right, I do. I need to go. Did you hear my alarm going off? Yeah. So, hey, Ken, appreciate you coming on here again. I obviously like a lot of great nuggets in there as usual. We hit on money, we hit on marketing. So again, next part 3 is lead generation and lead conversion. So listeners, hopefully you got a lot of good nuggets to take away from this. And again, don't just write it down, implement it, take action, do something with it. Even if you fuck it up, try it a different way and fix it. Do it again. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish with the 5-star review. Actually, hey Paul, you want to take us out on the review today?
I would love to. This is a long one. This is from Izzy Boo 911. 5 stars, or
Izzy
again, we
Boo.
wouldn't share it. Title: Great podcast that impacts a person to be better and do it better. When you guys started the podcast, I thought, this will be interesting. You too, Izzy Boo. But now, wow, I can't wait till the next one comes out. You guys have impacted the HVAC industry to help each other, local or nationally. There is help for every question you have. Thanks so much for connecting the dots. Proud to be a part of this industry. And this is from Aaron. He dropped his name. So Aaron with Elite Heating and Air in Louisville, Kentucky. Aaron, stop by and see us at Service World Expo. Yano and I will be recording a podcast there. We'd love to shake your hand or give you an elbow bump.
Sweet. I know Aaron. Aaron, what's up, man? Thanks for the thoughtful message. Why the hell is your name Izzy Boo 911?
We've got questions, Aaron.
So I appreciate that.
That's a stage name.
Izzy Boo 911. I really need to get to the bottom of that because obviously it has nothing to do with Aaron Courtney. That's his name. Anyway, shout out to Aaron. Thanks so much for leaving that review. And again, listeners, we love it when you leave reviews like this. It's like the most meaningful thing for us, and also for our guests to hear those things about them and like the impact they're having on you. So please keep doing that. And until next time, we'll see you.